So, just ahead of us in this session at the moment are Perez and Verstappen. And just behind us are Ricciardo, Russell and Leclerc. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1 minute 43.5. We don't currently have the data for that request. Here are the top 5 cars as they stand. Perez, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Hamilton and Norris. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1 minute 42.9. Sorry, we can't provide you with that information right now. Here's a quick position rundown for you. The top 5 are Perez, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Hamilton and Norris. Currently the fastest lap is a 1:42.9. We don't currently have the data for that request.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top 3. Perez, Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then. Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Hamilton, Norris, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Gasly, Daniel, Ocon, Sainz, Albon, Stroll, Bottas, Hauger, Magnussen, Joe, Sargent, and Liam Lawson. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. The last few races have been a bit rough for them, unable to get a clean run. That's got to have some effect on their confidence, surely.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers were able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Okay, so everything looks good on the power unit cycles, so let's concentrate on bringing tyres and brakes up to temperature. Yes, and that's a podium. Excellent drive. The whole team have worked especially hard this weekend, and that, my friend, is a fantastic reward. Well done.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Well, not the result our points leader would have wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Well, that wraps up the sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then. Welcome then as we take a step back into the nostalgic golden days of motorsport. Spa is unashamedly a throwback and all the better for it. Climbs, drops, sharp turns, chicanes, sweeping high-speed corners, all while taking in some of the most beautiful scenery that Europe has to offer. This might sound like a travel brochure, but it's not. It's a race day. Welcome along to Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high quality racing as well. Simply put it, there's no place quite like it. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Gasly, Sainz, Albon, Ocon, Stroll, Helga, Bottas, Sargent, Magnussen, Joe, Liam Lawson, Ricciardo, and Daniel. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Launch map is good, but we need to learn the gears, so go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please. Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward. Nice move. Good job. now use DRS. DRS now available. And you've got P15, P15. Bottas is ahead of you now. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on fresh softs. Sargent behind. They're on fresh softs. You've got 11 laps until your pit window opens. You've got 20 laps left until the end. Battery charge is high, let's use that overtake button a bit more. We're currently trailing our teammate by 7.3 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in second. The last lap time was 1 minute 46.3. We're approaching the pit window, you're going to be on softs. Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please. Pitting this lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap. Go, go, go! Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track. Okay, gap ahead is 3.0 seconds. Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy. Keep managing your tyres, manage your tyres. Increasing the gap to the car behind by a few seconds per lap. Keep it up. And that's us in 10th position. Perez ahead. They've just entered the pits. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Hauger's behind you. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Our gap to first place is 30.9 seconds. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Final lap of the race, final lap. Okay, good work, great pass. Okay, we've only got one lap of fuel remaining. P6, you've got P6. Lando's ahead of you now. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 4.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. That's Ricciardo behind. They're on old mediums. Okay, so gap to the leader is 23.2 seconds. Okay, you've just started the final lap of the race. Final lap. Okay, so the gap to the car ahead, 4.8 seconds. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they persevered to take the win here today. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team. So let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Okay, we've had the new parts come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.